Yesterday, you said, oh, go ahead, Rob. I was just going to ask about Nathaniel Hackett being here and what he's going to do for you and how that came about.
Well, as we've got kind of a history of this with guys that are kind of out there, and certainly he's a guy that I really respect, and we've had a lot of great times together, and he's kind of coming in and doing an analyst role for our defense. And we used, last year, we used Getsy in a similar role as that.
How did that pay off last year with Getsy? I think Sala, you had...
Yeah, we had Sala, Getsy. I mean, we've had a lot of guys. I just think it's a fresh perspective. You kind of, especially when you take a defensive guy and put him on offense and vice versa, an offensive guy in defense, it gives you a little different lens to see it through and talk through. And so he's sitting in with our defensive staff, and he's been in the linebacker room and kind of just going through the film, and gives them a good offensive perspective.
Will that be a season-long thing, or do you know?
Yeah, he'll be in and out throughout the course of the year. So.
Do you have a defensive guy for the offense?
Well, we kind of did that a couple years ago when we got Rob Grosso. So, but now he's been a couple years on offense.
Did you have, like with other teams you work for, did they do that? Because obviously the normal thing would be to have the offense.
Yeah, it really happened back when I was in Atlanta in 2016 with Raheem Morris, moving him from defensive backs, and I think he was our passing game coordinator by title at the time, and moved him over to offense as a receiver coach. I just thought it was what a cool perspective to get the other side of it.
Yesterday you mentioned that when you went back to look at last year's day one, you weren't super happy about it. How did yesterday go back in terms?
I thought yesterday was pretty clean. I thought our guys did a good job of competing, but also taking care of one another, because ultimately we needed everybody healthy for us to be at our best. So I thought there were a couple situations where you're always stressing staying away from the quarterback in those passing plays. There were a couple that were a little too close to the QB, but I thought by and large our guys did a good job of competing, getting the work in, but also taking care of one another.
Was that play in the end zone between Hobbs and Jacobs a good example of taking care of each other? Looked like that could have been a big time play.
Yeah, I don't know how Hobbs pulled off at the last second, but I'm glad he did.
Matt, how beneficial has it been for Malik to have kind of a full off-season of learning everything instead of just coming in right away? And how have you seen him grow over the past year?
Yeah, I think just from a fundamental standpoint, I think it's been critical. Just his footwork, his timing in the passing game. So we'll watch how he progresses, and I'm excited for him because I do think he's really grown. I think he's got good ownership of our offense and what we're trying to do. And like that is, I can't emphasize how difficult of a situation he was put in a year ago in terms of being here less than 3 weeks and having to go start a football game. So to have a year under his belt, I think will be extremely beneficial for him.
Tucker has talked a couple times already this offseason about how he feels there's a lot of untapped stuff in terms of his downfield route running. He said a lot of his stuff came, yards after catch. Do you think there is a lot more to be had there in terms of getting him open downfield?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's just scratching the surface of what he's going to become, and certainly we got to do a good job of giving him opportunities. And I think, he's been able to show some of the things, and I think he's really grown as a complete football player, but specifically in the passing game.
With Quay coming off the list yesterday, what's the plan for him?
Just walk through. It's just good to get him back acclimated, with the guys, communicating in the huddle, seeing it from that position.
How far away is he from maybe?
I couldn't tell you. I don't want to put a timeline on it.
Matt, how do you feel about the depth of that group? I mean, you brought McDuffie back, you brought Welch back, you signed Isaiah Simmons. Just how do you feel about how the depth of that group is coming?
Yeah, I think we've got good depth, but we got to stay healthy.
You know, along those lines, you got the 4 returning guys, but what could Isaiah Simmons potentially bring for you guys? I mean, the guy's obviously unbelievably quick.
Yeah, I mean, you see him. He is, there's a reason he was a top 10 pick. He's got all the measurables, and it's just getting him acclimated with our system and knowing what he can do and try to put him in some advantageous positions where he can really showcase his talent.
What do you envision those might be for him?
Well, I'm not going to give you the game plan on that, but
It's July
it's a work in progress.
So you had him mostly a strong sideline hacker yesterday?
Yes, not safety.
Still remember that. That was like 2 months ago. Is that an ideal position, or are you just starting him there and seeing what, just?
I think that's his ideal position, but like he's a really versatile guy that has shown he's capable of playing out in space, and I don't want to call it a nickel role, but like in that spot.
You got obviously a lot of players on offense that have proven they can do it, and then obviously you draft a couple more guys, and you want to get Tucker and Bourne involved and this and that. How do you keep everybody happy?
That's a great question. Winning. Hopefully winning will keep them all happy. And, I mean, the beauty of our offense is, like, you really don't know necessarily who's going to get the ball. And I think it really frees up the quarterback. He doesn't have to feel that pressure, I got to get this guy the ball. And it's really on us as a staff to try to move these guys around and showcase what they can do.
Obviously, I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes, but is there some managing of that from your part? The guys come to you from time to time?
No, I think these guys, they're high character guys that I think just want to go to work, and we'll have a lot of time to game plan to get, more specific with them. Right now, we're just trying to, install really every phase of our game plan and let it happen organically over time.
How do you think Bo Melton has handled the position switch, and how do you think he looks, early on in the summer, and what do you expect out of him on camp?
Day one was good. Did some nice things. I just love the attitude and what he's all about, what he represents. His story is awesome. Just how he's had to earn everything in this league, and I think that's a good lesson for all our players, whether you're a first rounder or a 7th rounder, a UDFA, it doesn't matter. It just, you got to earn it every day, and he definitely has done that.
Are there things you've discovered over the years in those first few days of camp without pads that you want to focus on, like conditioning or different drills that when the pads do come on?
I think it's more about our habits, our standards, the non-negotiables, how we practice, our processes. I think that's what we're trying to kind of lay the foundation for the season. This is the first time really that our guys all off season, we haven't done run game full speed. So this was their first crack at it yesterday, and you're always trying to avoid guys on the ground. That's how people get hurt, guys get rolled up. So there were a couple instances of that, but by and large it was pretty clean. But it's all the little things that end up ultimately, in many cases, decide the difference between winning and losing.
So it's almost a rehearsal for a padded practice.
Absolutely, everything is, and along the way, you're forging your identity. You're getting into better football shape because there's no substitute for. There's nothing these guys can do that can get them, the conditioning for what they're about to take on, throughout the course of the preseason and into the regular season.
Practices, in pads, without pads, joint practice, preseason, when it's decision time and you evaluate the body of work for each player, how does those different environments play a different role as you look back on how each player's performed over last
Yeah,
year?
I definitely think some of those situations are a little more weighted than others, when you're talking about the games and all that, but there's a lot of opportunities out here to evaluate these guys, and just like I told them yesterday, it's not just, it's what kind of teammate are you as well, and all the little things that I think encompass what a real football player is all about.
What have been your first impressions of Nate Hobbs and playing multiple positions in the defensive back, and then just acclimating to Jeff Hafley's defense?
Yeah, he's done a great job. You can really see the guy's a competitor, and that's why we loved him on tape. He's tough. And, you know, he was primarily a nickel with the Raiders, and so it's been pretty cool to watch him come in, play a lot more outside corner, but also we know what he can do, you know, if we want to put him inside.
What is it about him that gives him the ability to step on the perimeter?
Well, he's just a talented player. Obviously, you got to have a certain skill set to be able to do both, and he has that. That's why we went after him.
You know, with Golden, with all the motion and stuff, do you envision him doing like this kind of stuff that Jaden Reed's been able to do with all the motion you run? Is he that type of a player?
Potentially. Ideally, you'd like to have everybody be able to do that, because then you really don't know where it's coming from. So I think the more guys that we can train to be able to take on that type of role, I just think it opens up things for you offensively.
How much stress is that in the beginning? I mean, is that a lot of stress, a lot of learning motion, or is that pretty habit?
No, I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of learning for these guys, because it's just, a lot of it's what have you been exposed to in your past. And, you know, I think they did a really good job with him at Texas, exposing him to a lot of different things, but, you know, we'll just kind of see how it goes throughout the course of training camp.
Two more, please. When you add in plays kind of during the offseason, is it more of you see cool plays around the league or have concepts that you want to break off of other concepts, or is it more of like, oh, we have a Matthew Golden or a Savion Williams now and we want to be able to draw up certain things for those type of play styles?
I think it's all the above. I think you're always trying to pull inspiration from things you've seen on tape, or maybe it's something that somebody's ran against our defense, and you know, you have conversations internally about how tough a certain concept may be to defend, but then also you're trying to look at the strengths of your players and what they do well, and certainly you get ideas from what they've been able to show from their college tape. So yeah, but I think you're always looking.
Good. Thank you guys.
Wilby's not here, so no extra questions.